Good morning. Welcome to my 10-minute crafty. So I've got a cup of tea. I'm going to share with you in about 10 minutes what I'm up to today. This one is my Japanese quilt that I've just got back from the long arm quilters. I've never had one sent out before to a quilter. I'm not overly in love with what we have here. I like the design. It bugs me that it's very off-center, and I feel like it competes a lot with the blocks. But anyway, I'm going to leave it sit with me for a couple of weeks and see how I feel. Today I am going to keep working on the binding, and I'm doing a very small binding because I want the blocks to be the thing. And the book I got this from is a book by Susan Briscoe, and it's Japanese quilt blocks to mix and match. So you can see I've done this block here, and I've done another block that's in the book. So you can see on the back I've gone with a floral just to have a different look. So sometimes I could display the geometric quilting, and sometimes I can display the floral. And so just smooth the binding out and turn it over. Hold it firm on my finger, and I go into the quilt just below where I've come out. Take a little bite and come out on the edge of the binding, just about that far along. So the binding was, I machine sewed it on last night on the other side. And this is actually my favourite part of quilt making. This quilting is, often machine pieced together, etc. I know a lot of quilters who hate this part and have worked out how to wholly machine bind their quilts. But I love this. I love this part of it. So this is I first borrowed that book from the library. This is often the way, isn't it? And I just fell in love with those blocks. And many years ago I sat down and worked out how much fabric I would need of each colour. And then worked out I couldn't afford that much fabric to be able to do the quilt. And it was a lot of working out to work out, to get so many of each block and how many different size pieces I would need, add it all up and work out how you'd lay it out on the different fabrics, etc. But anyway, as these things do, they tend to sort of linger and not leave us. And then I made a hand-dyed quilt, a shibori-dyed quilt. And I had some white fabric left over, and I had some of my shibori dyed fabric left over. It's blue. And so then all I needed was navy. So I got the navy fabric and I started working on the blocks and worked on them a long time. When I started, I thought I might make this for a bed, but I did grow very weary of the precise sewing and the tiny little squares, and so it's ended up being a very large lap quilt, shall we say. It'll be lovely on the lounge in the winter to snuggle under. I find it so satisfying that all the sort of frayed edges and bits hanging out get tucked in. Neat, tidy. The quilter in me does struggle with the slow stitcher in me. After spending years neatly hiding rough edges I do find it hard to embrace frayed rough edges. I still prefer a clean look on the edge of things. It's not to say I can't admire it in other people's work, but I just find my hands want to tidy things up. My brain finds that satisfying. I think that's probably why I, for example, love my slow stitch bin, because it's neat edges, so I can handle, you know, the lovely texture and the rough edges within the piece, but the whole thing's got a neat edge. Makes me happy. Okay, so when I come to the corner, I just, for the moment, treat it as if it's not a corner. Wonder if we should get in closer for you. Hopefully that's not too close and blurring. So I stitch right up to the sort of seam allowance of where the next piece would meet. Okay, so I'm going to stop about here. And simply fold it. Now, this one is on top, this side, so I'm going to make this side on top on this side. And it just helps you get a neater mitre. Those fabrics I worked with really did fray a lot. Okay, so I'm going to hold that there in place and then encourage this one down. It is a bit of a fiddle. There we go. A neat mitre. So now just hold it in place with my thumb and keep stitching down like we have been. Okay, I'll just go around the corner. And carry on. So I'm going to move to a lovely comfy chair with this on my lap, bring up some other YouTubers, and I'll be back when it's finished to show you. Hang around. Hey, what YouTubers do you love to watch? Give me some tips. Always enjoy. It's my number one entertainment. I watch YouTube all day long. Well, here it is all finished. I've just draped it over the back of the couch. I can't get back far enough to see the whole thing. So I really, really love this quilt. Like I say, I'm not so sure on the quilting. From a distance you can't tell, but as you come in close it does compete rather than enhance the design. That could also just be me because I'm used to quilting in the ditch. But like I say, I'm going to leave it with me for a couple of weeks and see how I feel. And if I tend to still be bugged by it, I can just quilt in the ditch on this one, and then this one there could be a central design like a cherry blossom or something. But yeah, I'll see how I feel after looking at it for a few weeks. Well, thanks so much for spending 10 minutes with me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.